that have been sent to Saskatchewan Government Insurance. They're not nice people. But anyways, well, that was a screw up. But anyways, this is Heidi Ho, Canadian freedom fighter. And everything that I say or the reviews that I read, I believe that are written in the writer's opinion, and they don't sound happy. And I'm relaying this, in my opinion, to warn fellow citizens about how Saskatchewan Government Insurance for car accidents go out of their way to hire people illegally, and then, worst of all, have just terrible, terrible reviews from their ex-clients that they had as patients. So this is one of the last Gmails that I sent to SGI. You have not responded that you have received my 2 Gmails sent May the 5th, 2022. Please respond that you have received those Gmails. If you respond no, you have not received them, then I will resend. But I need to know that yes or no that you received these 2 Gmails sent May the 5th, 2022. As the phone call states about them, Dr. Jutras, Jutras, and it's Dr. Michael Jutras, and Sheldon Wines. Sounds like a good name that this has for a doctor, because if he's not a whiner, he's a wiener. And he should be put in a barbecue and cooked up for a hot dog weenie. Well, anyways, in these reports, they are fraudulent and illegal, as the phone call states, so you best find out that they legally are getting copies of their business licenses ASAP, as their reviews of my medical history are illegal, in my opinion. Please respond ASAP, as a non-reply will be considered they are breaking the law, and all letters or Gmails are always written, in my opinion. That's because you need a special license to operate a business outside of the province that you live. So Dr. Sheldon Wines, or maybe Wiener, lives in Alberta. So he would need to have a special license. Now, Dr. Jutras, Jutras, he has a business license to work at his medical clinic. But Saskatchewan Government Insurance for cars, they hired him privately as a doctor to review reviews. Now, Saskatoon City Hall, as we know, say that he does not have a license. So you prove it, or force me to go to court and get a subpoena to force you to divulge the information of, are these people legal or are they illegal? Because I know if they're illegal, shame, shame. So anyways, then previously before that, I wrote a letter, Gmail, and I always get everything faxed and scanned and stamped that this was sent from their SGI office. So they can't say they've lost it. So, again, opt out of no-fault insurance and elect going back to the old way called tort, T-O-R-T, which gives you the right to sue for the big bucks. Because on no fault, there is no big bucks. But anyways, here we go, reading this letter that I sent to them. This is being written with no intent of disrespect or malice. Jillian Miller or any other people that SGI needs to share this with. There are 88 pages, including the cover page. There are 9 pages of giving SGI asking for medical information. They wanted to know about the assault in BC, and I had told them 9 times I sought no medical attention because I didn't think I was hurt. But when I returned back to Saskatoon, quite a while had taken place and I was still hurting, so I went to my family doctor. So there are 9 pages of that correspondence. Then there's Heidi Ho, Canadian freedom fighter. There are 9 pages of reviews for Dr. Jutras, and these are very bad reviews. I got lost. I have trouble seeing because of double vision. Okay, as they are very bad reviews, and very serious in nature, Dr. Jutras could have applied to have them removed, or he used the court system to have them removed by the writers. But he did nothing about having them removed. So if the doctor didn't want to have his reviews reviewed and ignored them, that's why, in my opinion, I'm giving you this information. So his reviews are very serious complaints. So I can feel that he is qualified to judge me or any other person. As Lakeview Medical told me, well, this sucks having to read. Lakeview Medical told me that he is not using their clinic. Also, Venture Rehab Sciences Group and you, Jillian Miller, yourself, have also stated that Dr. Jutras cannot see or talk to me as this would and could be biased, and that SGI has hired Dr. Jutras privately. And you told me that, Jillian Miller, to do the assessment of my case of Heidi Oxman, medical review of files. So Saskatchewan, or in the city of Saskatoon, you have to have a business license to conduct business. And Dr. Jutras is doing business with SGI. And we know that he doesn't have a license. Lawbreakers. Violators. Scumbuckets. So I'm asking for a copy of Dr. Jutras' business licenses and a copy of all of the methods of payments that were used to pay Dr. Jutras. Give me this information voluntarily, as I do not think that I have to go to court to get a subpoena for this information. And to inform Heidi Oxman, ASAP, what SGI intention is, as we have a binding mediation case over the need of home care financial support. So it's very important that I get this information. And SGI, you should get that information too, because you certainly don't want to be entering into evidence falsely received information. That's breaking the law. To inform the law that you're guilty of conspiracy to defraud Saskatoon and Saskatchewan the rights to collect revenue from people who have businesses. So I'm very lucky that my roommate has been my caregiver since the first time being injured in July 30th, 2020. Then the December 7th, 2020 accident when Heidi Oxman was rear-ended by the driver of an uninsured vehicle that was being driven by the driver. And the owner of that uninsured vehicle. My home caregiver has been doing everything for Heidi Oxman, except helping after using the toilet. Oh, that's kind of embarrassing when you have to have somebody to help you do that. And you're only 68, not 92. And a letter was written by Jen in regards to renovating her motorhome before the injuries happened. Just before they happened. I completely renovated her motorhome and took the kitchen cabinets, all the doors and drawers off, all the hardware, so that everything could be painted properly, and then put those little tiny screws back. If you had double vision and putting down a laminate floor and painting, you would make a mess and you would cost a ton of money, because which line do you cut with the saw? The one on the left or the one on the right? Which one's the right one? Because you're seeing double. But I wasn't injured at that time. So, as usual, I was very proud of the work that I did in renovating houses. All the other pages, we're talking about 88 of them, are information concerning Heidi Oxman that shows the need of home care support, or for Heidi Oxman's claim against SGI. I would consider an offer to settle and put this matter completed and get on with my life. But we have to play games instead, and I'm not very sports-minded. And when I was a conductor for the railway, I was going to start skydiving up my first of 47 skydives, and took some really big steps backwards so I could watch our train being pushed together, thinking that that would make things happen faster if I got off the engine and watched it happening. Well, anyways, I ended up getting hit with 300 tons of steel, once standing on the ground and once in midair. A boxcar and 2 engines hit me. So I suffered severe brain damage and voice box damage. I don't even remember what my true voice sounded like. So, here's a letter written from Jen. I'm writing this letter on behalf of Heidi Oxman. Did a renovation on my motorhome for me, which included removing the carpet and installing laminate flooring, removing all of the cabinet doors and drawers, and removing the hardware. She painted the whole motorhome and then reassembled the cupboards and doors and hardware. Most of these kinds of things require precise measurements and a good eye for the painting. Heidi did a professional job with all of the work she completed. Someone who had double vision would not be able to complete this job without being mistakes that could be very noticeable in that type of work. I can provide pictures of the work Heidi completed to show the professionalism of the work that was done. A letter from Smithwick's Physiotherapy dated March 31st, 2022. Yes, home care assistance would be beneficial to the client. I'm not reading the whole letter, but the important part of the letter is that the physiotherapist that I was going to stated that I'm still in need of home care support. A letter from my family doctor dated May 1st, 2022. Heidi requires home care assistance. Reason: backache and multiple injuries sustained in the motor vehicle accident. Just got to keep these 88 pages in order. So, here we are. Reading reviews of Dr. Jutras, Jutras. Just saw this doctor as a walk-in with my 4-year-old son who has an ear infection. He was extremely abrupt, condescending, and rude. That's the doctor. He also walked out of the office without even so much as saying goodbye. Just, I'm out of here. You're on your own. Oh, too bad he didn't do that by you being at his house and him giving you the keys to his Porsche and walking out the door. All because I questioned if we needed to start the course of antibiotics right away or if we should watch and wait. And the mother's reply, we'll never come back to see him. She's done with him. I don't know if you love your children and you love your spouse. Again, in my opinion, after hearing all of these reviews, if you truly love these people, would you send them to this doctor? But if you're Saskatchewan government insurance and you're paying him privately to do work for you, well then, why not hire a doctor that doesn't know how to doctor and they get worse? But obviously, you're not going to hire somebody that continuously says, yeah, they need home care support. And that worked out to $900 every 6 weeks. And this has been going on since March 30th, 2022. So, anyways, a hearing infection, you can lose your hearing. Thanks, doctor. Now I'm deaf. And school won't be fun because I won't be able to hear. Here's another review. I don't know if you can see that. It's upside down. Never did this before. But anyways, it says reviews for Dr. Jutras. Here's another patient. Very arrogant, pompous, and self-absorbed doctor. Have found another physician who really cares about his patients, not the paycheck. Here's another one. Having been seeing him for 23 years, and the last 5 have been frustrating. After suffering through many tests with no results, he became very hostile with me and my husband. He probably couldn't believe what was happening, what kind of a doctor this is, so he probably thought, good idea if I brought my wife in and she could hear and see what kind of a doctor this is, and no wonder I'm an unhappy camper. But anyways, he became very hostile with me and my husband, then told me to find another doctor. If you bother to read this document, leave your personal problems at home, Dr. Jutras, or whatever for the reasons of you behaving like this. But almost sounds like somebody who's in withdrawal, because some people he's good with and some people he's not. And an explanation of mood swings like this, to me, sounds like somebody that has a drug issue. That's my opinion, but that's what it seems like to me. Here's another review. See if we can do this one again. It says Dr. Jutras, because it's very similar to the other one. Very arrogant, pompous, and self-absorbed. Have found another physician, because it's hard to find family doctors, and it's extremely hard to find doctors that have hospital privileges. Because if you don't have hospital privileges, you can't send your patient to the hospital and have them admitted to find out what's wrong with them. And unfortunately, a doctor like this killed my loving wife of 18 years by not telling us he didn't have hospital privileges, but by saying this, and I remember the tone and sound of his voice. Well, you have as much clout as I do. Because we were asking, why can't you get us into the hospital? And then I realized, I wonder if he has hospital privileges. Sure enough, he didn't. Been an ongoing problem for 3 years. Another doctor in the practice has hospital privileges. My loving Patty gets admitted to the hospital in the morning. They run some tests, and in the afternoon, she's told, well, you're at the end of your life. And unfortunately, she passed 7 months later. Thank you, Dr. Borshine of the Jacques West Medical Clinic in Abbotsford, because you're a killer. And this doctor is going to end up being a killer. Where the other doctor from Alberta apparently maybe even killed one of his patients. That's an interesting one when I read that one to you. Here's another one from Dr. Jutras. We have been seeing Dr. Jutras ever since he came to Saskatoon. Right now, I'm almost ready to change. Maybe too long with the same doctor. He rushes through his visits. I remember my doctor saying to me, when I said, geez, doc, I hope I'm not taking up too much time. And he said, the only time that's important is when you walk in this door and when you leave. And if it takes an hour or it takes 10 minutes, we're here until it's done. Here's another one. This one's hard to read. It says, he sucks. Totally ignorant. I can't quite read it. But makes you feel makes you feel like a piece of crap. The point was, because these were all sent to SGI, Saskatchewan Government Insurance. The point is, it's another bad review. Well, here's another one. Dr. Judas is a good doctor. Sometimes he is grumpy when you see him. Then it's hard to ask him any questions, as I feel he is not interested in helping you. Sounds to me like it's somebody that's got to run around the corner and go up the old. But with changes of attitude and mood swings, he sure seems like he has a problem. Or maybe he can explain his problem. Oh, another one. My husband saw this doctor. Well, this one's bad. My husband saw this doctor for a badly infected spider bite, of which he was already being treated for with antibiotics. I don't know what a spider bite is like. I've never been bit with one. I know that there isn't a bee or a wasp or a yellow jacket or whatever, that if they sting me, I react to them. It feels like a little tiny electric jolt, and that's the end of it. But this guy was suffering. My husband was in an extreme amount of pain from the infection, and Dr. Judas made him feel like he was 2 inches tall. He belittled him and did nothing for the pain, basically telling him to suck it up, be a man. Never again. I guess one less client. Oh, here's another one. I saw this doctor for 24 years. He could be very moody, which I put up with. But I had 3 serious medical issues that he ignored that turned out to be very serious. Yeah, you got problems. Don't worry about it. It's not life-threatening. Here's a colored Band-Aid. Put it on your leg anywhere you want. It'll make you feel better. I no longer trusted him at all. The clinic used to be wonderful, but the front office changes and wait times become very inconvenient. I found a new doctor. Good old Dr. Judas. Jutras. And here's another one. He needs to retire. Failed to recognize symptoms of too much thyroid. Well, that's just sending your patient to a blood test. I think that's what blood tests are for. Hope it wasn't cancer. Well, I should have checked this out better. I missed the reviews of Dr. Sheldon Ween. But they would be in my phone. He's Dr. Sheldon, Wiens. So I don't know if that's Weens, but he's definitely a whiner, and he's definitely a wiener, and most likely committing fraud. Let's pull up his reviews. I only had 2 pages, so there weren't very many. I had a terrible sunburn a week ago and went to the emergency because of pain. It was too much to handle. 1 week later, my left leg was swollen again and I was in a lot of pain. Went back to the emergency room and was seen by Dr. Weens. From few questions, he already knew what the problem was. He sent me for ultrasound. And confirmed I had a blood clot. Well, thank you for diagnosing that. Oops. I tilted my camera so my Union Jack wasn't visible. There we go. And right down here in the corner it says Britain made. Okay, this is really, really serious. Now I'm tilted too high. Which would be nice to do. Which is something I think I will do. Yummy, yummy. Excuse me. My grandmother was transferred from long-term care to the Sturgeon because 4 courses of different antibiotics had failed to cure her urinary tract infection. Her family doctor felt she needed intravenous. Sorry, shouldn't have done that. Intravenous antibiotics, as she had in the past with great success. Wine stated that she did not have a urinary tract infection. didn't need any treatment, and ordered her transferred back without any care. I tried to explain her past experience. Great emergency doctor. But he totally ignored me. She was so ill and dehydrated and delirium had set in. She was actively hallucinating the good old days. I asked that repeatedly, that he keep in an IV, but he said absolutely not. An intravenous of saline solution to hydrate her. And he pulled it out. He pulled out the saline solution. Well, there goes a bag of however much was left in the garbage. And the piping used, the needle, and everything else in the garbage. Should have come out of his paycheck. Who ordered to put that in the first place? I know. The emergency room has a big sign. If you think you're dehydrated, grab this and this needle and self-medicate. He told me that she could be maintained on CLYSIS, don't know what that word is, which never worked for her in the past. If he truly believed she did not have a urinary tract infection, why did he not make an effort to determine the cause of the distress, illness, and delirium? He performed no tests. Did a cursory, CURSORY, cursor examination. Didn't care a bit about past history. Well, then why have a past? Criminals would love that. No past. Didn't care about her past medical history, and in the end, did absolutely nothing for her. He only saw an elderly lady who he feared would be a bed blocker. Somebody that's in the hospital that doesn't need to be there. I guess there's a slang word for it. Even though she had a room in LTC, he sent her back in the same conditions she arrived in. She went from a vibrant, sharp as a tack lady to a bedridden, delirious, then comatose shell. She died a few weeks later. Beware of Dr. Wines or Dr. Wiener. And whatever you do, don't let him treat those you cannot advocate for themselves. Well, in fact, don't let him treat anybody. Because he doesn't treat people. He's just there to collect the paycheck. And I'm sure, again, my opinion, that's why he has write-ups like this. And again, they could have applied to have these removed. They didn't. They could have went to court. I forget which one it is, slander or libel. For written statements are called one thing, and verbally expressing it is another. But he could have used the courts. and been rewarded money for slander. That's what I think it's called. And had the author of this letter remove it. But again, he did nothing. One of the few things that both of these doctors are good for, doing nothing, but they want to collect the paycheck. Now, we had a kid come in with an ear infection that could make him deaf for life, to some degree, or totally. Now we have this person coming into the emergency. This doctor was so unhelpful, he started making fun of my family doctor because he sent me to emergency and said that I do not have an eye infection. Dr. Weens, nice of you to have diagnosed that over her family doctor. You made me feel so uncomfortable, and you did not give me straight answers of what I have. This is my eyes. I know people that are blind. And now myself with a vision problem. It's not nice. And he did not give me a straight answer of what I have. I have been suffering from my eyes for 4 days. Now I can't go to work as I cannot drive because of the blurry vision. In the mornings, I spend 10 minutes trying to open my eyes as they will be flu shot. Oh, that's another hard one to read. Because of the yellow discharge from the infection. The only thing you gave me was an antihistamine, or a histamine, which did not work at all. I do have an eye infection, and it is so obvious. And if something happens to my eyesight, you will be responsible. Well, to everybody. That's what we have the College of Physicians and Surgeons and the courts for. Negligence and malpractice. And they pay insurance to have it. All of these cases should have been brought forward to both bodies. I think that's the last one from Dr. Weiner. You know, this is why being moody like this makes me suggest that there's other problems that these people have, not the patients, the doctors. Listen to this one. Dr. Weens was so helpful, knowledgeable, and patient. He explained everything so well and calmed my fears. He was so nice and friendly. Diagnosed the problem and made me feel very listened to. Also, he is adorable. Oh. Well, there you go. Maybe he had her take off her clothes to do some kind of an examination. But anyways, that's it for reviews. Once again, I do have a phone number if you would like to talk to me on any of these problems with SGI, or because I do advocacy, I have a special phone number, and here we go. 778 877-0852. That's a computer generated phone number. 778. Oh geez. Now I better look up my phone number. I'm sure it's brain injury time. 778-807-0852, and now we'll check. Yes, I was correct. 778-807-0852. That line is not recorded on. But my other phone number automatically records all incoming and outgoing phone calls. So if you were to phone me, I may have you phone the other phone number so that I can record it. Whether I needed your permission or not is irrelevant. Canada is a one-person consent, and I'm the one person. You don't count. So anyways, Heidi Ho, Canadian freedom fighter. Please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment. And if you want to, leave me a dirty comment. I'm not a person whose feelings are hurt. I'm not a law enforcement officer, or I don't work for SGI who had their feelings hurt. Takes a lot to hurt my feelings, because nobody has a right to ruin my day except me. So try if you want. But if you need help, I enjoy helping. Again, I've been an advocate for over 25 years. Lost one case, my own, against Officer 840, Aaron Parker, who will be doing an upload about him. And I hope you enjoyed listening to the reviews. But you know, because I know personally, my wife, my roommate that I live with, his wife, my friend Donnie Prima, who worked at Labatt's in Saskatoon and thought he hurt his back. And as it turned out, over a year later, they discovered, oh my goodness, you have cancer on your kidney. Don't worry, it's only the size of a baseball. You're going to die. But it's too bad we didn't catch it sooner. But you cannot help to kill yourself. You've got to stand up for your rights. And I thank these people for their reviews, but they should have really gone to a malpractice lawyer or at least nothing else, College of Physicians and Surgeons. So have a rest of a good evening. Until my next upload, which will be coming shortly. Heidi Ho, Canadian freedom fighter. And I'd like to put out a special thanks to News Now, Victoria, Not So Silent. Hi, Dan. And to Canadian Rights Review. He reviewed my video of Officer 840 who writes false police reports and forces you to ID under threat of arrest and violence. So we'll be uploading the information of what happened to that. But I believe the judge deliberately helped the thin blue line. And when I do that upload, you can decide for yourself. So have a great day. Signing out.